Is Erling Haaland's diet of steaks and milk really so mad? He's got a new YouTube channel. He's 100% a biohacker and talking about his diet. And the major sort of mainstream media coverage of his diet is really quite amusing. The mad world of Erling Haaland's lifestyle. We will look at that today. He's one of the most famous footballers in the world. Also today, is the butter you are eating really just butter? This is Biohacking News. Hello and welcome to Biohacking News. I'm Tony Wrighton, and today I'm going to go straight on and bring on today's guest, someone who has been globetrotting, I think it's fair to say. Klaudia Balogh, how are you doing?
Hey, Tony. Thank you so much for having me. Indeed, globetrotting. I've been
Oh my goodness.
across
You've
the
been
globe
everywhere.
the past few months. A little
Yeah.
wonky with time zones.
Well, it's nice to cover everything going on in the biohacking world. And just in the last couple of weeks, there have been three big events. One in Australia, which we talked about last week. One in Saudi Arabia, which you went to. And then one in Miami, which you went to as well. That was Biohackers World. Tell us about Saudi Arabia and tell us about Biohackers World as well.
Saudi Arabia was really magical. And I say it from a place of elegance. Like, it was not your woo-woo magical. It was not your like crazy things, but it was just such an intimate, elegant setting. I mean, Saudis tend to take things up a notch when they can in terms of just the experience. Everything you smelled, you touched, it interacted with was just so elegant. That's like the word everybody used throughout the weekend, because you had all the speakers, you had all the exhibitors in such an intimate setting, and it was a connection all throughout 3 days. And what was really interesting is that because it was at a hotel in Riyadh, most of the speakers didn't venture out throughout the day. So literally all day you had the speakers on stage, and then you had lunch, and then you had breakfast, and then dinner. And you really just interacted with the speakers much like as if you were at a longevity retreat. It was really nice and made easy to connect and network at a much deeper level that sometimes you experience at other conferences, which was very intentional from what I heard from talking to the founders. Because oftentimes at larger conferences, the speaker comes on stage and then they disappear in backstage, and then you don't really see them much. Here, you really can go up to them, ask the questions, and they were all so gracious. Everybody was, and they had some high-profile speakers. They had, Gary Brecka, they had Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Van der Wright, Naomi Killen. So they had some really high-profile speakers. And what was also interesting, how the biohackers world often feels like a little bit of a boys' club. It was so even. If not, like,
it's not the normal reputation of Saudi Arabia, but that's good to hear.
Right. Yes. It was. Yes. And you had people from Dubai, from the UK, from the US, from other parts of Europe, and of course, Saudi. And yes, you saw a mix of culture, because everybody was really respectful of being in the Arab world where you needed to be covered up. And a lot of women still were represented, with wearing the whole outfit of just their eyes being out there. So it was very, very interesting to see, and very physician first type of audience. So not your usual consumer audience, and more focus was on the speakers.
There's a bit of a problem though, and that is if you want to go and you're not working like you were, it's not that cheap, is it?
It isn't cheap at all. So if I'm not mistaken, it was about $3 to $4 to $5 a ticket.
Whoa.
It is pricey. It is not your like, oh, I'll drop 200 there and just check out the vendors. Because even the vendors, it was interesting, but it was not your massive vendor hall that you have at a lot of places. It was literally speakers from like 9 to 5, full on, and panel conversations. And then you had the evening activations, which were also very fancy and really well done. There was a magic show, which blew everybody's mind. The guy was brilliant. And then different music, heart opening sort of concerts, DJ. So we didn't go to sleep till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Definitely not biohacking style, but
you gotta have fun as well. So I think that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. And the food was fabulous. So I recommend it. They're gonna make it a lot bigger probably next year, and I'll grow this venue. but it was, from everybody I talked to, it was a success.
Well, I wanted to ask you about it because obviously a lot of the big names in biohacking were there, and as you say, you can recommend it all you like, but unless many people are going to sort of win the lottery, they're not going to be going.
Yeah.
But it's a different sort of audience, isn't it? And it's clearly gone from nothing to fairly high profile in our world. What about Biohackers World? That was last weekend in Miami,
Yeah, that was just this Saturday and Sunday in Miami. I mean,
and you were on the
Biohackers World.
lineup as well, weren't you?
Yes, for the first
Yeah,
time. It was really nice. I was actually on the
yeah,
panel moderating the two founders. One of them was Philip from Lila Quantum, and then the other was Clayton from the Root brand. So it was really nice. We
mm,
talked about different ways to live a long life, but through small, sustainable actions and habits that you can make. And what are some of the things that a lot of people underestimate? It was a very nice and thought provoking conversation.
yeah,
And also with Biohackers World, you get a very different crowd. You
mm,
get a lot of first timers. I mean, a lot of questions were thrown out in terms of who's here for the first time, who's a beginner in
mm,
biohacking, and a lot of hands went up
yeah,
because Biohackers World is sort of known for being this regional biohacking conference. They have one in Miami, they have one in Chicago, they have one in LA. So
mm,
they have these spots where they bring together several hundred people and a lot larger of a expo hall and a lot of new players in terms
mm,
of brands and a
mm,
lot of new faces on stage in terms of speakers. So because I mean, Biohackers World is just a few years old, so it's in
mm.
its still early stage, but I think it's growing really nicely, and it's a nice, easy. There's not much of a barrier of entry, whether you're a speaker or whether you're a exhibitor or a guest attendee, because they open the door for it to be a lot more affordable.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
actually, I think it's really interesting because we sort of we're in this world, aren't we? You and I.
yeah.
And uh, I hesitate to call myself an OG, but probably am. But
You were the very first biohacking podcast I listened to in 2016. You're definitely an
oh,
OG.
lovely. Okay. But it's really interesting. I put a lot of time into the page on my site, which is what is biohacking,
Yeah,
because I've learned that most people aren't just obsessed with it like we are.
yeah,
And it's been really interesting writing a book on biohacking and selling that actually, because I think, it's quite a small market, actual books on biohacking. I mean,
yeah,
like, good. I hope it stays that way because there's not that many out there. There's me and Aggie pretty much.
yeah.
And there's not that many other people. Like Dave Asprey, for example, has not actually written a book on biohacking. He invented
Right.
biohacking, but he hasn't written a book on it. And a lot of
He
people
made it
find my
mainstream.
books,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly, but they're searching something else, like
yeah.
longevity or some sort of health
Exactly. Like
related issue,
longevity
and
is
then they find
really,
it.
yes, it's starting to like overshadow biohacking because I think a lot
Mm,
of people are finding longevity much more intriguing.
mm,
And people like, oh yeah, I want to live a long life instead of like, oh, I don't want to hack my biology. So it might have a
yeah,
little bit more of a for the masses. It's easier
yeah.
to wrap their head around longevity. Oh, it's about living a long life. So it's
But
probably that.
the other problem, Claudia, is that we know that biohacking is all about pretty much getting back to nature, and then when
Oh
nature
yeah,
isn't available, mimicking nature with some
yeah.
tech. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
And seriously, I
And
mean, no, go for
yeah,
it.
go for it.
As many
Um,
times as I heard throughout the
yeah,
conversations that you can do all the red light, you can do all the peptides. If you don't have the foundations solid, you're
mm,
not doing it right. So like you can't
yes.
out peptide a terrible sleep. You can't out red light a terrible, diet. So it's all just really going back to the basics. As much as gadgets are great and vitamin supplements are great, these are all supplementary and will only work if you have the baseline of
Mm.
healthy 5 things.
Yeah, you were talking about biohacking and longevity and how some people prefer that word. I wonder if it's because biohacking gets tarred with the biohacking bros brush a
Yeah,
little bit, and
it's
that
true.
is, it's sort of fair. As this whole world of health optimization gets bigger, it is sometimes easy to take the Mickey out of biohacking bros,
Yeah,
and biohacking babes as well,
yeah,
but probably more bros. And actually, longevity has a slightly more sort of scientific feel to it, but even that can certainly get looked down on. But anyway, it's something for us to be aware of because you and I know, as you said, it's the basics, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, God, one of the things that we love living here in Portugal is it's so
That's
easy
so
to get
nice.
back to basics and get outside and stand on the beach
Yeah,
and, get lots of sunlight and that sort of thing.
that is.
It's easier to do that in Portugal than it is in Darlington in the north of
Yeah,
England. But there you
yeah.
go.
And also biohacking, and both biohacking and longevity, we talked a little bit about it off camera about how many books are starting to come out in that field, and also
Mm,
events. Like my calendar for going to cover these events
mm.
across the span of a year, it's insane. There are something, if not almost every week, definitely every month across the country and then globally too. It's just so mainstream now, and people are finding ways to get the
Yeah,
community together to have speakers on. So it's just become a whole thing. And when I first started covering,
yeah,
when I listened to him, like, what is butter coffee? And then it was really fun.
yeah.
Like you talked about it on your podcast, this butter coffee. And then I started to listen to Dave, and I'm like, oh, this is what we're having here. It was really, really cool.
Yeah. And what are the events that you're going to over the next few days or the next few months?
So I am going to Eudaimonia
Mm,
on the 14th through the 16th in West Palm Beach, which is going to be another higher profile speaker lineup. Like it's very impressive. And then at the same time is Hack Your Health in Tampa, and which bad timing. Poor guys. I mean, a lot of people are going to go to Eudaimonia. Hack Your Health is
yeah.
also a great. I mean, they have done a great job the past couple of years. It's just two really strong events exactly at the same time. And I'm like,
Mm,
so a lot of people have to like switch back and forth. And also, there's also A4M in December
yeah.
in Las Vegas. And yeah, there's just
Wow.
something every month. And then of course the
Yeah.
next year begins. So I have to put my calendar together to where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And a lot of people will be wondering why you're going to so many events. And obviously, you've been on this podcast loads of times. So I know, and a lot of people know, but you're a longevity journalist, aren't you? And you sort of write for a number of publications. But Biohack yourself is the one that you went to Saudi for and
yes.
for some of these events.
Yeah, so a lot of them is biohack yourself. Eudaimonia, I'm covering it for Muscle and Fitness magazine. So
Mm,
that's a little bit of a different angle, focusing a lot more on recovery performance and some of the cutting edge that is in that realm.
yeah.
And like I'm interviewing Dan Churchill, who is Australian, and he's just this massive chef who's all about he's just as like he published a book about eat like a legend. So it's
Mm,
all about really fueling your body for performance.
yeah. What and like just this last thing because this is started by a chat on sort of events in the biohacking world, and it's ended up in a chat on the state of longevity and biohacking, hasn't it? It's sort of
Yeah.
big picture. But
Yeah.
actually, one of the things that I find quite difficult, and obviously, as you know, I work with so many other authors now, is I sort of feel like there's so many books out there saying the same thing. It's quite hard for authors to
Yeah.
stand out, and you have to. I mean, Eat Like a Legend sounds great, but it also doesn't sound like a book like I necessarily need to read. But it may well be, but it's quite hard to stand out and do something different. And
It
that's
is.
the challenge that I work on really hard with authors.
Because honestly, the reason why I think is really hard is because at the end of the day, every book will talk about going back to the basics.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah,
will frame it in a different way, but you can't
mm,
come up with anything new because that is the truth. You
yeah,
got to go back to the basics in order to build something extraordinary or optimal at least. So each book eventually goes back to figuring out how am I going to optimize my basics, and then from there pull the different levers to really be amazing. But
mm,
honestly, they all go back to the basics. Every
yeah.
book I read, eventually they all tell you to sleep right, to don't stress, to move, to eat the right thing, look at the right light at the right time. It's just all the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. We're actually
Yeah.
one of the books I'm working on that is has been quite an interesting one actually because it's a longevity book with a twist, which I won't give away now. But one of the things we've been looking at a lot within the book is HBOT or
Mhm.
hyperbaric oxygen, and
Yeah.
actually there's not really a back to basics approach to that. Yeah, you can do some more breath work and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but it's not quite the same as hyperbaric oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah. Some tools do have a massive bang
Mm,
for your buck,
yeah,
and it's just not as accessible as some of, but also if you have everything wonky, you
yeah,
really are not doing anything because you're just I'm going to hop into hyperbaric and I'm not going to do everything else wrong. then you're still
Yeah.
not getting the same benefits, because then your body's trying
Yeah.
to constantly like, oh, okay, hyperbaric is great, but if you don't have the basics, then you're not gonna feel even much, much, much better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also there's something that
Absolutely.
I'm also seeing, and there's a lot of science that is starting to back this up, is the power of connection
Mm.
as a biohack. So
Yeah.
now we've all talked about, the stress, the sleep, the diet, the exercise, the light, whatnot. And then connection is the next big thing. I mean, relationships are going to become this commodity where we are going to start to increasingly value who we chat with, who we spend time with, and not only other people, but your work, and then also
Mm.
your self-talk and your relationship to yourself and connection to yourself and to nature, because we've talked about nature, but I think it's really starting to come back to, and I think Dr. Hyman talks about it all the time, like if you are in a toxic relationship that is literally aging you, that is turning on
Mm.
inflammatory markers, that is really not good for you from an epigenetic standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, let's look at this story then. We mentioned it at the start, Erling Haaland. And one of the reasons I was so looking forward to talking to you about it today is that I'm interested to know what you think from a journalist perspective about how the mainstream media, for want of a better phrase, cover it. And that is
Yeah.
because actually, whilst we sort of think, oh, everyone knows this stuff, actually, we're so early and it's so sort of out there. So this is from the Daily Mail a few days ago. Erling Haaland's got a new YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's pretty much one of the most famous footballers in the world. Amazing footballer who plays for Manchester City. And he's also a biohacker, 100%. And the headline was, "The Mad Methods That Power Erling Haaland. Red light therapy, huge farm steaks, and raw milk all on show as Man City star lifts the lid on his super fitness regime." And it's all seen as quite out there. Gigantic barbecued steaks, red light therapy. And he's also very into his ice baths. He actually posted something a couple of days ago about taking an ice bath after a game as well. I'm really interested what you think of this story and how the mainstream media cover stuff like, what seems to be fairly normal for us.
I know. It's like people have been doing this for a really, really long time. And it's just
Yeah.
because I
Steak and
think,
milk.
right, it's athletes are starting to really come out and leverage the momentum of, I think, biohacking and longevity and these tools. Because I mean, he's probably done this, but never made it public. But it's not mad. I mean, I don't think it's mad. It's probably like he's hyper optimizing his performance at a level that we see on the soccer field. I mean, he is incredible, scoring like the record level goals a
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
So, but he's doing all the things like if you gosh, I'm forgetting his name right now. But
Erling Haaland. Yeah.
no, I'm the guy
Oh,
who I remembered when I looked at some of the things that Erling Haaland was doing.
oh, you're not thinking
Now,
about Ronaldo, are you?
no, but when we were in Saudi, I was like, man, how cool would it be to check out what kind of biohacks Ronaldo does? Because now he's playing
Yeah.
for a club in Saudi.
That's
So I'm like,
right.
that would have
Yeah.
been really cool. So, but initially, what I'm seeing, there's a lot of like OG biohackers are doing the raw milk, the organ meats, the steak. I mean, when I was in Ecuador and spent a time at a longevity retreat and with a bunch of people, including Dave Asprey, we had steak breakfast, lunch, and dinner as an option.
Mm.
So they were like, yeah, Dave is here. We need steak for breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, and dinner. So it's a big thing. I mean, because of the high nutrient density, and the protein intake. So it just really, really fuels your performance, both physically and mentally. And a high level soccer player needs that. And if he's consuming like 6,000 calories a day, he's eating a lot, but he's doing all the things that the big biohackers we know are doing: the raw milk, the red light therapy, the beef liver, beef heart, which are very nutrient dense when it comes to certain vitamins and minerals. So it's great. I mean, first, I love liver and heart. They're so good for you. And
Yeah.
also, he's really really highlighting something that is starting to become a thing in the US in terms of like amplification, is to eat local. Like he gets his sourdough delivered, he probably gets his milk delivered from like the neighborhood cow or the neighborhood farm. And
Yeah.
it's the best thing to do if you really want your body to get the nutrients it can thrive on, is to eat local, eat high quality. Obviously, he's eating grass fed and grass finished beef. So, and I was looking at that video, and yeah, he does all
Mm.
the things: the red light, the ice plunges, the saunas, the different. He has a masseuse who comes and stretches him out.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You
yeah,
know what's amazing as well? He's 25. And like
yeah, he's young.
honestly, when I was 25, I couldn't tie my shoelaces. He is just like really dialed in on his health. And at the
Yeah,
perfect age, he's right at the top of his game in football and he's
yeah,
making the most of it. He's also
and
huge, and it probably helps because he's,
yeah,
he's
he's
clearly got
really
a diet
tall.
that is dialed in
Yeah.
from a longevity and primal perspective.
Yeah, and he just
Yeah,
had a baby, I think, last year. So it's being a young father, I'm sure takes a toll
yeah.
on your body and your sleep, for
Yeah,
sure.
that is true. Yeah. So well, it's the thing is, it's not just biohacking 101. There's loads of stuff. If I go back to the Daily Mail, the Norwegian striker begins by making a breakfast of eggs on sourdough and a cup of coffee with maple syrup at the couple's 6-bedroom mansion. And then he has a bit of red light. He recommends getting some sunlight on your skin early doors. And as he said, tucks into his freshly delivered sourdough bread each day. He
Eats
has
his
red light
coffee.
therapy while he's getting massage. And I mean, that'd be lovely to have a massage every day, wouldn't it? And then he's
Right.
shown buying raw milk, steaks, and raw honey from a micro dairy in Cheshire. And I think that's one of the ones that sort of has blown people's mind a bit because if another article in the in the on the BBC, how Haaland prompted a debate on drinking raw milk. Clearly most of the milk that we can buy is not raw. And actually, we've tried to buy raw milk here in Portugal. We can't do it. Literally, the
Really?
only place we can find it is shipped from Germany, which seems like a long way. Yeah, we
Wow.
just can't find it here.
It's definitely not local.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
But
so
yeah, raw
it's
milk does.
interesting observing the coverage, isn't it?
It is very interesting. I mean, it's I wonder what prompted it. Was it his YouTube video or the YouTube channel that he started, or maybe his
Mhm.
PR team reached out to the media? But because of the fact, because soccer players and these athletes love coverage, especially when it's
Mm,
positive, to put them in the spotlight. And there is a momentum going on in longevity and biohacking, and all the things that he's doing gets highlighted across the world. So maybe his PR team was like, hey, this is a story. We can push this. And of course,
mhm.
Daily Mail loves freaking amplifying everything and
My God.
exaggerating that this
But
is
you've heard of the Daily
mad.
Mail over there as well as here, yeah?
For sure. I mean, when I was living in London and we were working for the Evening Standard, the Daily Mail was always,
Yeah,
the headlines were a lot higher.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
were very
Oh,
clickbaity. I mean,
yeah,
they want that. So it makes
yeah.
sense. But the raw milk
Well,
and the honey isn't new either. A lot of people, the
mm,
doctor, I can't remember his name, who lives in Costa Rica, he swears by it. He drinks raw milk
Paul
and honey all the
Saladino.
time. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Yes, Paul Saladino.
yeah,
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 he loves those two, and kefir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the other story we wanted to look at today is the butter you are eating actually butter? Now, there's a company called Seed Oil Scout who I've spoken about before. I know you know about Seed Oil
Yeah.
Scout. They've got this brilliant app, and they write some excellent, very in-depth articles and blogs on various. Well, they sort of investigate stuff actually, and they put quite a lot of time into it, and it's quite refreshing because we talked about how a lot of content is the same in our world.
Yeah.
Theirs isn't. It's just more in depth. So they sent one recently about, look, is the butter you're eating really just butter? And I was like, oh, mate, I know all about butter. Don't worry, I don't need to read this. But I had a cursory glance, and straight away I started to realize that some of the butters that I think are great are not so great. So
Mm.
there's, I mean, let me just read you the first one then.
Yeah, please.
Um, Pure butter should list cream and possibly salt. If it's a cultured butter, you will see cultured cream or live active cultures listed. The key is to avoid oils. Now, products, this is what I was really surprised about. Avoid blends. I've always thought Kerrygold is a great butter. And I thought Kerrygold, oh, they're one of
Same.
the best. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
No,
in
it's
this
not.
article, it says products from brands like Land O'Lakes and even some from Kerrygold are sold in tubs mixed with vegetable oils like canola or olive oil to make them softer for spreading. So
I do
even
agree about
butter, we
yeah.
can't trust it now.
Land O'Lakes, yes, I do see that being a bit of a scam. Like you might want to flip that bottle, that tub around and really see what you're buying. And even in the US, they love selling marketing like right up front, like better than your butter. I'm like, I wouldn't go that far. And then it's just
Yeah,
like some type of vegetable oil mix. It's like margarine. It's like, no.
yeah. Well, on the margarine, I'll get onto the goat or water buffalo butter in just a sec, because that was a step too far for me.
Wait,
But
what?
yeah, but on the margarine, I just had a weekend away with 5 of my best mates. We're all the same age. We've all known each other 30 years. We're really good mates, and we did a big group shop beforehand. And I was amazed at how much crap margarine there was in there. I was like,
Yeah.
guys, let me tell you about this stuff. It's not naturally this color. They have to dye it. It's gray.
Oh gosh, that is so sad.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah. So
But yeah, with
apparently,
butter people.
water buffalo butter has
Hmm.
nearly double the fat content of cow's milk, creating a very rich butter.
And where the heck do you buy that? I've never seen that
I
in
don't
stores. Is
know.
that like
Yeah,
a Amazon water buffalo butter?
yeah. So can
That
you
is
can you
interesting.
get raw milk where you are? Is it legal in the States?
I don't at certain stores, yes. I think Whole Foods
Mm,
has raw milk and even raw kefir and goat milk too.
mm,
So
mm,
yes, I think Whole Foods does have a few options. And yeah, some people really, really enjoy it
mm,
because of the
mm.
higher, density of nutrient, the enzymes, the probiotics. It's just better. But also I know a lot of people worry about the higher potential for bacteria contamination because it's not
Yeah,
pasteurized. But if you're getting it from like a good source and it's grass fed, obviously, then you should be safe.
yeah, yeah.
And it's a lot
Well,
creamier because the fat content is a lot better, bigger.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So raw milk and good quality butter, really good topics and really worth seeking out. And obviously also worth bearing in mind that whilst we might be fairly positive about it on this channel,
Yeah.
a lot of the coverage in the BBC and the Daily Mail disagrees.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So so you're off to Vegas in
In
December.
December. First, I'm going to
Yeah.
West Palm next weekend. So the 14th through the 16th, which will be big. I
Yeah.
mean, even Holly Berry speaking.
Oh my
She's
goodness.
she's a big advocate. So I think she's a brand ambassador for Pendulum, the company that
Mm,
made Acromancia a big deal. And so she's speaking on that topic. So it's,
yeah.
yeah, eudaimonia is pulling a little bit of Hollywood into longevity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you recently moved from Texas to Florida, which is where
All
half the
from
biohackers
from Arizona to
are from
Florida. So
Arizona to Florida. Yeah.
there wasn't enough biohacking for me in
You weren't
Arizona.
surrounded by enough biohacking.
No, I mean, I can't say that there's a lot on the coast of Florida that I'm in. I'm on the
Yeah.
southwest coast in Naples.
Yeah.
There's a growing interest in longevity places like there's OsteoStrong. There are a couple of longevity clinics in concierge
Yeah.
medicine, but certainly there are a lot more stuff on the East Coast, on the Miami side, West Palm, Fort Lauderdale. But regardless, I'm close to family. And if
Oh,
there's
great.
anything I'm learning about biohacking, and if you don't have connection, it does not freaking matter
Yeah.
how many things you hack. So I
Yeah.
wanted to be close to family.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And that for us, as much as Portugal, the climate and the food and everything
Oh
else,
gosh.
if we hadn't have made it work with community, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So we feel
Yeah.
very lucky.
100%. 100%.
Now, since I last spoke to you, we've got a new midweek episode. In the past, it was a
Ooh.
biohacking review. Now
Yes.
it is your biohacking routine.
Ooh.
So what's your routine like? A biohacker's day. What are you doing in
Okay.
the morning? Is it crazy Mark Wahlberg style, or is it all pretty chilled out?
It's about a 15-20 minute routine,
Okay.
occasionally 30 minutes. So I
Mm,
generally wake up and I start with a visualization meditation that can run between 15-20 minutes, and then gratitude journal. And while I'm meditating, so I have the flex beam, so I put the flex beam on my torso here to just
mm,
kind of wake me up, and sometimes on my face while I'm meditating. So I have that sort of stacking those hacks, and then I
mm.
journal, and then I do a little bit of lymphatic massage all through the different areas of my body and just
And what do you do
getting
that with? Just with your
that. I
hands?
just do it with my hands. So there are
Yeah.
like 6 spots, like here, your neck, your armpits, your stomach, your groin area, and behind the knee. So I just kind of rub it a little bit and then tap it a little bit and jump for a few seconds. I will be adding rebounding to it. I just got a trampoline, so I'm gonna adding, just a few minutes on a rebounder to get my body going, and then
Great.
coffee. So I've been playing around adding some ketones to my coffee and just kind of see how that changes. Like not MC, not in the shape of an MCT oil, but in the shape of ketone powder. So I just tried it for the first time this morning, so it's really new.
Yeah.
So that's about the morning. It's not too extensive. It's and then depending on how my day allows, I like to go exercise probably after coffee, but before a full-on breakfast. I do add some protein to my coffee, so I'm not fully fasted. And yeah, so that's my morning is the more extensive biohacking routine, and then throughout the day, I just eat light, eat high protein, moderate carb, and my evening tends to be around blue blockers in the evening. Gosh, I've been spending some more time with my mom here. She's like, and whenever she has the lights on in her bathroom lights are really bright, and at night I'm like, I can't look at this. This is way too bright. Like I need glasses, or we just need to turn on the little. I always just turn on the little Himalayan salt light at night. That's exactly what I need.
We can't persuade our mums of everything, can we? I've been trying to work on my mum and butter for ages. She's like, well, they always told me it was bad for me. And, I mean, they did. So I can't persuade her on that. And that's absolutely fine. I respect it for
what's
that.
Interesting, because, my mom was still hearing the results from that study that was completely flawed about estrogen supplementation and estrogen hormone therapy for women after menopause. She's just now hitting menopause, and I'm starting to tell her, like, maybe she's has done progesterone for a while now, but and I'm telling her, like, maybe we should start thinking about bioidenticals. She's like, well, but I remember estrogen is not good, it can cause breast cancer. I'm like, long story, have been debunked many years ago. It's crazy how that still lingers. Even at the conferences, I still hear doctors and Dr. Amy Killen and Wanda Wright having to explain that those studies did not have the results that, or isn't relevant to the community of women who are entering menopause, because it was just wrongly done. But anyway, so in terms of my biohacking routine, the morning is the more steady. Then during the day is a more flexible. I don't have a rigid plan because I've been traveling so much. So it's really making it work for me that I have my mornings 20-30 minutes like solid, so I can get up and ready to go. And then I fit in some workouts. I fit in, obviously, supplements. There's a handful, like 3-4 that I take in the morning. And then there are a few that I take in the evening. And of course, my nighttime routine actually has been really benefiting from vagus nerve stimulation. I've been doing vagus nerve before I go to sleep, and I love it.
Yeah.
I really
so what time is that?
It's usually around 9:30. So I go to bed around 9:30, wake up around somewhere between 6:30.
Yeah.
So I do get a solid night of sleep. I have never, thankfully, had to struggle with, like, I generally get upwards of 2 hours of REM and deep, according to my aura. So thankfully, my data is happy, except my HRV.
Good biohacker. You get an A+.
A+. I just need to fix my HRV because it just continues to be under 50.
Oh, that's not too bad. I spoke to someone the other day who's like, honestly, like, it's all individual, isn't it? With HRV, it's all what your own baseline is. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I feel very inspired by your routine. That's pretty good. I think your bedtime sounds very lovely and early, and a bit of vagus nerve stimulation before bed sounds great as well.
That is really, it really helps me downregulate. I didn't think it would, but that little stimulation here, and there are a lot more companies coming out with vagus nerve stimulation. I'm seeing them pop up left and right. So there's so many more ways now, but it's nice. I enjoy it. Yeah. And it helps me just like close my eyes. It's a device. Yeah.
Which one?
I use a Pulsetto.
Yeah. We did speak about it in a previous podcast. So if people want to go back and find out more about you and your vagus nerve stimulation and what you recommend, then go and find previous episodes with Klaudia. Oh, it's so lovely to catch up again. Thanks for making time in your busy schedule. Where can people
It's
find
my
out more about
pleasure.
you?
I always make time for you because I really enjoy these conversations. I really,
Oh,
really
me
do.
too. Me too.
You can find out more about me anywhere. Just type in longevity journalist, my website, my Instagram, and LinkedIn is just my name, Klaudia Balogh, but very active on Instagram. So longevity journalist. Yeah, DM me, message me. Oh, and I do have a podcast. I'm really bad at pushing my podcast. It's called 90% Healthy. So I co-host it with a exercise physiologist, and we come out weekly. And you can find it on YouTube and Spotify and whatever. Listen to podcasts. It's called 90% Healthy. So yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because that sounds absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if I've listened to it, so I will download that on my podcast player and have a listen as well.
Yes.
Good stuff. I'm bad at publicizing my podcast as well. Nobody's got enough hours in the day, though, have they? I mean, like if we're going to try and do some semblance of switching off from screens, we can't be creating content at midnight when we should be sleeping.
And frankly, shorts really help. So I love listening to all your shorts from your episodes because it's so nice to just get a snippet. I'm like, what does he have in store this week?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's all content creation, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how like, some of these creators who are making content every day, you think
It's exhausting.
you can't be doing that yourself.
No.
So you got to invest in it. It's so much work. You got to approve it all.
It's
so
exhausting. I mean, even when I go to these events and I want to post on my page and on LinkedIn, it's a lot of time. Like I get so drained from looking at my phone so much. And everything I do is on a screen. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is exhausting. Like I have to come to a point where I can hire somebody who thinks like me, know how to represent me or create an AI that will do it for me.
Klaudia, you're a ledge. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much, Tony, for having me. Cheers.